Okay, another little tip or trick when working with watercolor. If you can imagine that this is a base of a painting and it's going to be a snow scene, one that I demo a lot. What I've left out is the white paper. This will be the snowbank. This is a stream, background trees. It'll develop over time. But when I look at it, I scraped out a few areas where I'm going to put some trees. But let's say I want that tree to be lighter, whether it's some type of sycamore tree that you see gets white, particularly as it goes up. So one of the tricks I like to do, and it depends on the paper, if you use a cheap quality paper, this may not necessarily work. It really all depends on how much sizing is on the paper. And actually, I'm not sure if this is Arches or a cheap paper, so we'll see. So I take a drafting tape. You do have to be careful. The cheap paper is the other point I was going to make, is when you pull tape up, pulls off the paper. So it's one of the reasons why I like Arches and the better papers over the cheap stuff. So a little drafting tape. Here's where I want the tree. Some clear water. Clean water, stiff brush, not a soaking wet brush, but a little more than just damp. And I scrub out. And just kind of scrub, blot with a tissue, not a paper towel. Paper towel fibers just don't pick up the way a tissue does. And I'm just gonna lighten this area up. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure. This is very old painting that I started, so I'm not really sure about the paper, but we'll see when I pull the tape up. So that's an area that I wanted to put a tree in, and I don't want it to be dark on dark. So then I just pull up my tape, and you can see I have the paper back where now I can paint in a trunk. And again, I think I'll put another one over here just to see that again. Try to push down the tape pretty hard on the edges, or you're gonna get water that's gonna seep through and leave a funky mark. So there's another tree. Make this tree leaning out a little bit. You don't want them exactly the same. And once again, clean water, clean stiff brush, scrub, blot. And if you scrub too much, you can mar the paper, but actually the Arches paper would take it pretty well. And I'm just gonna pull that watercolor paint out. And sometimes when it's wet, I like to go right back in and paint, let the paint flow. So there I got another tree. And I'm not gonna spend a lot of time going over this, but I'll just do something quickly. Just for those who can't imagine yet. So I have a base of a tree going on here. And if you notice, depending on the whole background, when you're looking at most trees in a daylight situation, particularly a brighter light situation, where if you're looking straight into the light or looking at the tree toward the light, the bottom part is going to show up a lot more than the top. As you look up into the sky, that tree gets darker. You can try this when you're out looking at trees. The base, if there's going to be light and color, it's going to show up here. And as you look up into the light, it gives this illusion of darker. So you want to try to mirror that. And for this particular scene, I have the light coming from the left. So I'll leave that area more white and light and work on just getting some color in there, just for a little interest, and putting the darker edge. I didn't leave that wet enough. A little bit of a darker edge away from the light. And as it goes up into the sky, then I can make it dark. I'm gonna re-wet this a little bit just to get some of the flow back in. And then you just work the tree, getting your branches and other things in. I don't need to spend a lot of time on that, but just want to show you how to scrape out. And you can do that same thing for rocks or anything else you want to put in. Now these branches would continue to go off. And regardless of what I want to put in, I could put a rectangular roof in the background like it's a shed. Again, tape it off, scrub it out, and I can get a shape back in there. So it's a fun way to put things back into a painting that you think maybe you got a little overzealous in the beginning and got too much pigment down. Now you want to scrub out. So there you go. Hopefully that's a good tip.